Hey everyone, I'm Rihanna from A Frugal Life, and today we're going to be talking real talk about toxic frugality. So frugality is supposed to be empowering. It helps us save money, live simply, and focus on what truly matters. But sometimes the desire to save money can cross the line. You might start sacrificing your health, your relationships, your well-being in the name of saving a few dollars. Does that sound familiar to you? Here are a few examples I've gathered of toxic frugality and what it looks like. Number one is skipping necessary healthcare. Sometimes in the name of being frugal, you may skip things like checkups at the doctor or the dentist, necessary yearly tests, breast exam, things like that, because you don't want to pay the copayment. And if you live in California or America in general, I understand where you're coming from. My copayments are huge, and as I get older, I have more and more things I need to test for. But if I don't test for these things now, there could be something hiding, even though I feel great, that might come up later. So it's very important to get all necessary wellness checks, whether you're a baby or an older adult, or if you're 25 and you feel great, you don't know if something's hiding in there. So make sure you spend the money on necessary healthcare checkups if you need to. Number two is focusing on poor nutrition just to save $1. So you can't live on ramen and mac and cheese alone. And honestly, if you spend a little bit more on things like vegetables and whole grains and lean proteins, you're going to feel better in the long run and not have to worry about those medical bills we just talked about. So even if it's cheaper to buy a whole lot of ramen, unless that's your only option, focus on fruits and vegetables that you can get into your diet. Whole grains like rice and pastas can be had very inexpensively, and there are lots of fruits and vegetables in places like Winco and Costco that you can add to your diet that won't add too much to your budget. Number three is neglecting self-care. So if you're working really hard, 2 or 3 jobs like I am, it's easy to neglect yourself and the self-care that you may need. But there are lots of free things you can do for self-care. You can take a walk in the sunshine, you can go to the library, you can play with your dogs. So don't neglect yourself in the name of frugality. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a gym membership or Starbucks or facials to take care of yourself. There are lots of things you can do totally for free. I would love to hear in the comments down below what you do for self-care that's free or very inexpensive. Number 4 is letting relationships suffer. So unless everybody you know is a frugalista and only enjoys frugal activities, it's tempting to avoid hanging out with your friends because they're spending money. They're going to the movies, they're going to restaurants. You can do things with your friends without having to spend a lot of money and not neglect relationships. Invite them over to your house for a potluck or an art day. If you have kids, you can go to a play date in the park with all of your kids together. You can gather up the families and have a movie night at home. There's lots of things you can do to hang out with your friends without neglecting your relationships. So if they're asking you to go out a lot, ask them to come in and stay with you instead. So part 2, why do we fall into this trap? For many of us, it's just fear. Fear of running out of money, fear of not having the basics, fear of not being prepared for the future, or fear of being judged by your other frugal friends. But the truth is, extreme frugality without any attention to balance in your life can lead to isolation, fear, neglect of yourself, and just a bad overall life outlook. So here we go. How do you spot smart frugality versus toxic frugality? How do you know when you've gone over the line? So number 1, are you constantly feeling deprived, or do you love your life as it is? So if you're constantly feeling like everybody around you is having a good life and you're stuck in a hole in your house, not having the things that you want, it may be that you're getting a little too frugal and a little too out there. So of course we know that sometimes you can't afford to go out with your friends. Of course we know that you can't afford to buy all the things to keep up the Joneses, and you shouldn't if you're trying to live a frugal life. But there is balance in everything that you can focus on. Number 2, are your health and relationships suffering? Do you feel bad all the time? Do you feel tired all the time? Do you feel like you really need to go to the doctor, but you don't want to spend the money? Do you have no energy? These may be signs that you're neglecting your health in the name of frugality and not spending money, or neglecting your relationships. Do you have friends you haven't seen since high school and you would love to catch up with them? Do you have best friends that you never see at all because they're always going out and you don't want to spend the money? Again, you can focus on your relationships without having to spend a ton of money. Number 3, have you gotten to the point where you are fixating on pennies? You won't buy something because it's 10 cents more or it's 20 cents less down the road. So You don't want to spend the gas to just save on 20 cents anyways. Maybe you should just spend that money on the item now and then go home and do something relaxing that you enjoy. So don't focus on the pennies, focus on the dollars that you're saving. So lastly, when to spend and when it's okay and still living a frugal life. Spending money isn't a bad thing. It's just spending money out of control that's a bad thing. It's spending money on things that you don't need that's a bad thing. Is spending money when you don't have the money to spend that's a bad thing. So here's 3 times it's okay to spend money. Number 1, when it helps you with your health and wellness. And I'm not talking about it being okay to go buy an $8 Starbucks because it makes you feel great. I'm talking about getting your regular dental and medical checkups. I'm talking about taking your vitamins, not skimping out on your medications, not rationing things like insulin and things like that. You have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. Number 2, when you're focusing on experiences over things, sometimes it's okay to spend a little bit of money. So material items come and go. They clutter up our houses. You end up throwing them away or selling them at a garage sale 10 years from now. Focus on experiences that you can have and memories that you can make. So you don't need to spend $20 a person on movie tickets, but you can spend a little bit of money to go have a picnic in the park. So there is some balance in spending money to have relationships and spend time with people and not spending too much money like $100 dinner out. Number 3 is quality over quantity. So I haven't talked about this in the past, but it is a good idea to buy quality clothing, not designer clothing, but quality clothing. So maybe not 10 t-shirts from Temu, maybe some really nice basics from Target that are going to last you a long time. So investing in quality things that are going to last you a long time is when it's okay to spend a little bit of money. So finding balance. Frugality is about making smart, intentional choices when we spend money. It's about putting money into things that'll last, memories that'll live for a lifetime, taking care of yourself, and not spending money on crazy things like the latest trending Stanley Cups. So when you're building your budget, prioritize things that are most important to you. Health, happiness, wellness, and you'll be fine at not getting into toxic frugality.